All right, welcome everyone. John Corcoran here. I am the host of this show, which we are doing live today on LinkedIn and on YouTube. I am a recovering political hack and a recovering lawyer. I spent many years working in politics, including as a speechwriter, with stints working in the Clinton White House and for a California governor. I spent years also practicing law in the San Francisco Bay Area. And 10 years ago, I discovered this medium, what we're doing right now, which is recording a podcast. I've been doing it ever since because I found over 10 years, it's such a tremendous way to talk to great top CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs, and experts in a variety of different areas. And today is no exception. Before we introduce our guest who we have here today for this live episode, I want to give a quick shout out to Jason Swank of the Smart Agency Masterclass podcast, because we met our guest through Mr. Swank's mastermind community of agency owners. So if you are an agency owner and you are curious about how best practices are out there, go check out Jason's podcast. I know, Jeremy, you've listened to 500 plus episodes of them. I'm pretty, I'm nipping at your heels. I'm probably at 300 or so of them. It really is a master's degree in how to run an agency. So you definitely want to go check out his podcast. And
There's two episodes I have not listened to.
2 episodes. All right. Well, you got to catch up. But first, before we get into that, this episode is brought to you by Rise 25 Media, where we help B2B businesses to get clients, referrals, and strategic partnerships with done-for-you podcasts and content marketing. You were listening to a podcast right now, but we want you to become a podcaster as well, because you get exceptional benefits when you also control the narrative and do it yourself. We specialize in helping people to actually get it done, get it off of your to-do list. So if you want to learn more, you can go to Rise 25 Media or email us at support@Rise25Media. And before we get into this next guest, Jeremy, beforehand, speaking of masterclasses, was giving us a masterclass in exceptional podcast audio quality, which, of course, is the number one thing when it comes to podcast success. No, I'm being a little facetious there. It doesn't have to do with audio quality. It has to do with getting return for your efforts. But nevertheless, audio is important. So, Jeremy, tell us, what are some of the few tips that you have for those who do a podcast or are thinking about doing a podcast to get good audio quality? Because it is one of those things that kind of matters. Good
audio quality? That was the last question I thought you were going to ask me.
Well, I've already asked you about the squatty potty, so I kind of ran out of topics.
Yeah, I mean, that is a common question. And Kyle and I were actually chatting about this. It's like a 30-second conversation, right? You get a Blue Yeti, you USB it in the back of your computer, and you're good to go. It's about $119. This was like 10 years old. I think, this was cheaper. This was like $100. Hell, the price actually went up since you bought yours this year compared to 10 years ago. That's like the only thing that's actually gone up in price. John, I think you use it ATR. It used to be 2,100. I forgot whatever it is. It's like $70. Okay.
Yes.
So plug it in the back of your computer and get started.
Audio Technica ATR 2100. And
there
yes,
you go.
We do kind of joke about it because people put too much reliance on it. But my one tip I will give, which a lot of people make a mistake of, is they buy a $300 microphone and then they stand on the other side of the room talking to it from the other, like a foot away. If you just put your mouth right in front of the microphone, it sounds buttery sweet. So you can sound like Barry White. It's amazing. So just put your mouth in front of the microphone. Get friendly with it. But our guest here today is Kyle Sulerud. I think I'm saying that right. Sulerud. Sulerud. Thank you. His company though is AdLeg. I got that one right. He's a YouTube ads expert for webinars. So if you have ever watched a YouTube video and you've seen an ad at the beginning, he's the guy. And if you want to know about how to run ads on YouTube to drive traffic to a webinar, this is your guy. And first of all, let's start with Jeremy.
What do you think about webinars, John?
Me? What do I think about webinars?
Yeah.
Oh, I love webinars. So, we collectively have done at least over 500. Huge fan of them. I love, we're recording this live in November of 2020. We're 7 months into this global pandemic and everyone's stuck at home. But a wonderful thing about a webinar, because we've been doing webinars for years before the pandemic, is you don't have to travel. You can build relationships at scale with a lot of people without having to travel. And I think that's one of the big advantages of it. How about you? What do you like about webinars?
Yeah. I mean, I love a one-to-many approach, right? A one-to-many approach is huge.
Yeah. So, but the challenge that a lot of people have is getting people to show up to webinars. So, Kyle, Give us some of your secrets. What is working today when it comes to using YouTube ads to drive people to webinars?
Yeah, so YouTube is video, right? A webinar is video. So you're driving people from a video to a video. What you want to do really is make this seamless and make it instant and automatic. So sure, there's a time and a place to do a live webinar, right? But with YouTube, you have the advantage of people who are already spending time watching videos. You can bring them to your video, they will watch it right away. The consumption rate of YouTube traffic, of that traffic watching a webinar is through the roof. People are watching entire webinars when they come from YouTube, as opposed to Facebook, where maybe they'll opt in, but they won't really watch the webinar. Maybe they're on their phone at a red light. They don't really have time to watch a whole webinar. So the view rates are a lot lower. Now, I'm not saying to make your webinar look like it's live. You don't need to do that. Just bring them to a webinar, a VSL, whatever it is. You're really going to take advantage of the mindset people are in when they're on YouTube, which is they're there to consume. They're there to learn stuff. You can get your ad in front of a video about the same thing that you're teaching on your webinar. And it's just a really great match, a really great way to get quality traffic.
And Jeremy, I'll turn to you to ask a question whenever you're ready. But first, I wanted to ask you, Kyle, one of the things that I like about you is that you say on your LinkedIn profile that you paid the AdWords stupidity tax with your own money. You owned your own junk removal business. And so it sounds like that's how you first got involved in running ads. But as you look now at business owners who are running ads on YouTube, who's paying the stupidity tax now? In other words, like, what are the mistakes that you see people make when it comes to running YouTube ads that don't work well?
Well, the biggest is people not even knowing if their ads are working well or not. They're not tracking anything. So it's easy to run ads. It's easy to spend money on YouTube. You may be getting sales and you're not knowing where they're coming from. But what's really valuable about YouTube and Google is you can really be tracking everything. Now, when you're tracking things correctly, Google has this amazing artificial intelligence, right? They've invested in the best artificial intelligence companies in the world. They've just bought them outright. So if you're feeding that machine good data by tracking your leads and your sales properly, it's going to really amplify everything that you are doing with your ads. So the biggest mistake I see is people either not tracking anything at all, or they're just not tracking things well. They're not tracking the whole customer journey from someone opting into a webinar to maybe then booking a phone call with a sales team to then purchasing a product. All of this data is going to be helpful in knowing how to and where to optimize your campaigns. And it's going to help Google's artificial intelligence help you optimize your campaigns. It's so advantageous for the AI and the human to work together. You don't want to rely on Google's AI. That's a recipe for disaster. You don't want to ignore it because it is super powerful. You want to work with it.
Yeah, John, that's actually the question I was going to ask, which is, what are the biggest mistakes people make? So it sounds like, Kyle, people don't track anything. I'm wondering, when people, webinar goers out there, webinar creators, what's the best way to set up your webinar for success, considering you're going to be putting it on YouTube? Is there a difference between that people should be doing when they're like, okay, I'm going to turn this into an evergreen webinar that is, something people consume all the time, and I'm going to be running ads to it? What should people be thinking when they're creating the webinar that would make it the most successful?
I don't think that is too unique to YouTube. However you slice it, a webinar is a video sales message. That could be 10, 20 minutes. It could be 2.5 hours. I've seen all lengths, all styles of webinars be successful. It depends on the audience you are trying to reach, what they care about, and what you need to say to bring them in and convince them that you can help them further by actually giving you money.
What do you find? You probably consumed a lot of webinars and helped a lot of webinars. What are some of the big mistakes people make when actually, maybe it's an offer of a webinar? I don't know if you have opinions on the best offers or mistakes people make when making an offer.
Well, I think one thing that really slows people down is trying to get too fancy with it. They're trying to set it up so that it looks like it's live, and they're typing out fake chat messages so that when these people come in and they're pretending it's live, there's other people supposedly on the webinar. All this stuff takes tons of time, and I don't see an advantage. I have not seen an advantage. My clients who are crushing it the most are actually not doing that. They're just bringing people to a thank you page that has a video that you can play that is very obviously not live. So that's probably the big thing that people need to understand is you're not fooling many people. There are certain markets where that does fool them. They do believe they're watching a live webinar. But for the most part, people don't really care. They know that it's a video. If you're giving them value, they don't care if it's live or not.
That's interesting that people have gone kind of the other direction. People went towards these, kind of fake real webinars and gone the other direction. What about the ad itself? I've seen a lot of ads that are good, that are bad. There's one that I see a lot these days. It's from like a healthcare company called Forward, which is like,
I've seen that too.
Have you seen that? It's just like literally, it's like it's opening the front door and there's a doctor who says, "Hi, I'm Dr. Chad, and let me show you around here." And the camera just kind of comes with them, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of like, oh, okay, cool, because they're trying to be a little bit different. What do you see that works well with these ads? Because they only have like 5 seconds to grab your attention, right?
Yeah, and I think I know what ad you're talking about. I've seen the same thing, and probably one of the main reasons that ad works so well, I'm assuming it does, we've all seen it, they must be putting a lot of money behind that ad, is that it is showcasing the expert, right? It's showcasing the doctor. And I don't know exactly what the next step of that ad is, but I work with a lot of influencers, coaches, consultants. When they're bringing people from a YouTube ad to their webinar, they are then presenting the webinar, right? They are the expert. What a YouTube ad can do especially well is set that person up as the expert before they even click on it. So you see an ad with my face. I am talking about something that sounds like I know what I'm talking about. You instantly think, I'm an expert. This guy must know what he's talking about. I can see him. He's in a video. Okay, we have all these subconscious triggers that make us think someone's an expert. If they have a book, they're an expert. If they're in a video, they're an expert. If they're being interviewed on a podcast, they're an expert, right? So just by virtue of being in a YouTube ad, people are going to put more authority on what you are saying. Of course, you have to sound intelligent. You have to be speaking to those people and talk about things that are valuable to them. But it sets you up so well going into the next step, going into the webinar. It sets you up as the expert before they even start watching the webinar. Now, beyond that, yeah, you mentioned grabbing people's attention early in the ad so they don't skip it. That's not necessarily the goal. It's actually great if some people skip your ad, because you only pay YouTube when people watch 30 seconds of your ad or more. If they skip before 30 seconds, you don't pay, which is great, because now you are at the beginning of the ad speaking to your target customer. Okay, this is important. You don't want to have a huge attention grabber that grabs everybody's attention but means nothing to your target customer. You want to speak to your target customer, so they keep watching, everybody else skips, So then not only are you not paying for those people who skip the ad, but again, you're helping train Google's algorithm. Google doesn't want to not get paid. If people are skipping the ad, they don't get paid. Google doesn't like that. They want to get paid. So they are going to start showing your ad to people who are actually going to watch it, who are going to click on it. Now, it's never going to be 100% of the people are never going to watch your ad. But
is there a metric that you should look for?
About 20 to 30% of people will watch the ad for 30 seconds or more.
Got it. Okay. And then we had
There's
another
some
question
variance
here from Nick Baker, who asked thoughts on YouTube discovery ads versus InStream. And first, can you explain what those are?
Yep. So InStream ads are what most people think of when we're talking about YouTube ads. Those are the ads that play during another video that you're trying to watch. So they automatically play. Those are the ads that you can skip. Discovery ad, these are going to show up kind of like a recommended video. So they'll show up in the right-hand column if you're watching YouTube on your computer, and they'll show up right next to all the recommended videos. They'll also show up in the YouTube search results. With the discovery ad, you click on the thumbnail of the video, and it actually takes you to that YouTube video to watch the video. So for lead generation, InStream ads are where it's at. Okay, you're showing people an ad, giving them a chance to click and go take an action. It doesn't work that seamlessly with the discovery ads because they first have to click on the video, they have to watch the video, and then maybe you can get them to click a link in the description of that video or go to some URL and take an action. So it's a much longer process. Now, the discovery ads can produce better quality leads. They can help with building up your brand. I mostly use those for retargeting. So people who have already signed up for a client's webinar, maybe they haven't taken that next step yet. Discovery ads are a great way to bring those people back into the client's world, bring them to some of their YouTube videos that are going to add a lot more value, and then get people to take that next step.
What are some of the, Cal, the must-have components of an ad? I love what you said with the opener, right? Listen, if you're not an e-commerce professional, don't watch anymore, right? Or, just qualifying them right off the bat and almost discouraging them from listening, because then if you don't do that, you don't want them watching, right? Because then you're going to be paying for those ads. So I love that. So a good opener is key. What are some of the other components people should have in their YouTube ad?
So the only real must-have components are the opener and the call to action at the end. Mm-hmm. I'll give you some great things that work in the middle, but you don't necessarily have to have any one of these. Mm-hmm. But really adding some type of value, teaching something valuable is a really great thing to do in a YouTube ad because it demonstrates your expertise, gets people wanting more. Another thing you can do is really just push on their pain points or their desires. You don't really have to teach them anything in the ad, but if you show the customer that you recognize their pains, you recognize what they're dealing with, and then you offer them a solution, the solution being to click on the link and go watch a free training, that's another really great way to do it. So there's lots of different things you can put in the middle of the ad to get it to work, but definitely an intro that calls out your target customer, and then a call to action at the end. And you can sprinkle call to actions throughout the ad too. People are going to click at all times during the ad, especially if it's a longer ad, 2, 3, 4 minutes plus. I wouldn't make a 4 or 5 minute ad and only put a call to action at the end. I would put calls to actions earlier in that ad also.
I want to watch, Kyle, your YouTube ad on how to do YouTube ads. It's like where you're driving and you see the billboard, like your company you're looking at this, your company should be here. It's like you coming on, listen, if you blah blah blah, your opener, and then you go, listen, you need to teach something valuable or push on pain points. Here's your pain point, and here's something valuable for you if you're trying to do a YouTube ad, and then a call to action at the end. Go watch my webinar, Kyle's webinar. You have a webinar. I know we were talking about this. We should send people to something by the end of this. I don't know where we send, if it's on AdLag or where they can check out your information on breaking the stuff down, because I know you could do it. Before we do that, so anyways, I want to come across a video and I want to watch your ad about YouTube ads. If that's not too meta?
Or maybe a recommendation of a particular ad that you would recommend people to check out that's worked well, and that could be something that you provide a link to later for people to check out. Is there anyone that sticks out in your mind?
I mean, there's a handful. So if you want to send people to that, I do have a swipe file put together. I can give you the link for that. People can go grab that swipe file.
Go ahead. I'll put it in the chat too.
Well, I'd have to grab it here.
Is it on AdLag somewhere, or
you can just tell us afterwards? We'll add it into the chat and we'll add it into the links for the show notes afterwards. So, but
I'm going to AdLag right now. But so John, I know I have another question, but go ahead.
Go ahead, Jerry.
I know. Definitely share that swipe file. We'll share with everyone. Kyle, Dan Henry. What'd you do for Dan Henry?
Yeah, so he's one of my clients, and hold on.
I feel like I have seen his YouTube ad before, maybe.
Yeah, so you probably have. He's one of my clients. A few years ago, he had a course basically teaching Facebook ads. He did quite well, only running Facebook ads to that course, which was sold with a webinar.
That makes sense. Teaching Facebook ads and running Facebook ads to it. It's congruent. Yeah.
But he's a smart guy. Realized he doesn't want to be dependent on one traffic source, even if he's an expert at it. So he tried YouTube ads on his own. Tried working with a couple other people, and no one could really get it working for him like he needed. He reached out to me. I had been in his mastermind previously. This was before I'd really touched YouTube ads. I was just a Google ads guy. And he knew this, and I was kind of hesitant even trying this for him because I didn't really have that experience with YouTube ads. But he said, give it a try. Because if you can get it to work, great. If not, there's not much lost. So I gave it a try. Didn't really work that well right away. But I really kept at it and realized, why it doesn't work very well is because there's so much to it. There are so many components to it. So unless you know all these different settings and structures and all the different things that go into YouTube ads, it's very easy to set up and run YouTube ads, but it's very hard to do it correctly in a way that's going to get good results. So I put a lot of time and focus into his campaigns, consumed all the training that I could, put things into practice. A lot of the training is contradictory, so it's kind of hard to figure a lot of this out, but eventually got it working. We were able to scale his ads pretty quickly. He was spending over 6 figures a month on his YouTube ads for that product. He doesn't sell that product anymore now. He has a different high ticket coaching program that he sells, but still using YouTube ads and a webinar for that, because that's the formula. That's what works well on YouTube ads. So he's still a client today. It's been a great relationship, and I'm glad I've been able to help him scale his business.
Well, this has been great, Kyle. So remind everyone where they can go to learn more about you and grab some resources that you have.
Yeah, so I'd send people to my YouTube channel. I put out weekly videos there about YouTube ads. So that's a really great place to start. Just search my name, Kyle Sulerud, on YouTube. And I did find the link for that swipe file I mentioned. If you want to go to adleg.com/, YT Swipe /YT Swipe. You will be able to see some ads that I've put together that I've noticed that are very, very effective ads.
Great. All right. So Kyle, thanks so much. Adleg.com. Go check it out. Learn a little bit more about YouTube ads and YouTube ads for webinars. And for those of you who are watching or listening to this after the fact, we're doing these LinkedIn lives on a regular basis. Go on LinkedIn, search for me, John Corcoran, and connect with me as a friend or a follower. And you can be a part of these regular LinkedIn lives that we're doing every week. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.